Listen, I appreciate the money you send, but $50 a month is just enough to feed the cat. What? What do you mean? I couldn't believe my ears. I send you $1,000 a month. What? My mother was also surprised at my statement. Then I learned an unbelievable fact. My name is Yolanda, and I am a 40-year-old office worker. My husband Caleb and I have been married for 8 years. We met at a party where he approached me and we started dating. After I graduated from college, I was immersed in work at the company where I started my career, so I had not been in a relationship for a while. I noticed that more and more people around me were getting married, having babies, and starting families. At first, I genuinely celebrated each of my friends' weddings, but as the years went by I became more impatient than congratulatory. I knew this was a bad idea, so I decided to get myself properly engaged. If I didn't, I would become despicable. And for my mother, who lives alone at home, I thought it was time for her to see me as a bride. So I registered with a marriage agency and started meeting men little by little. But I couldn't find anyone who was a good match for me. I might not be able to get married. It was during this time that I met Caleb at a party introduced to me by the dating agency. He was fresh-looking and 2 years younger than me. He works hard and is a good communicator. He was interesting to talk to as he was a salesman and I was attracted to him. We exchanged contact information and we started dating. And after several dates, we started dating. He was sincere and kind, and I was attracted to him more and more after we started dating. We continued to date steadily, and about a year later he proposed to me. When I first met you, I thought that the reason I hadn't met anyone for so long was to meet you. You're definitely the one I'm meant to be with. So I want us to be together forever. Marry me. I was even more crushed by him saying such nice words to me. Of course the answer was yes. Thus, we were to be married. We greeted each other's parents, had a meeting, and had our wedding ceremony. My mother was moved to tears when she saw me as a bride. I was happy to finally be able to show my filial piety. Many other friends attended the wedding and congratulated us, making it a very happy marriage. After that, my husband and I went on our honeymoon and started living together upon our return. I think our honeymoon was really happy. My husband could not cook, so I was in charge of cooking, but he always ate very delicious food and looked so happy. If I saw him happy like that, I would try my best to cook again. And I also appreciated that he never complained when I was too busy with my work to cook at home and buy the food. So I could do my chores without feeling that much of a burden. Because we worked together, we had a good life and were able to go on trips every month and enjoy holidays. The months passed quickly, and 2 years into our marriage, I became pregnant. I was happy to have a baby with my loving husband. Later, I safely gave birth to my baby. A healthy boy was born. The newborn was really cute, and not only my husband, but also my parents-in-law and my mother loved the baby. I made sure to visit my parents-in-law and my parents' house every month to show them the face of my grandson. Everyone looked so happy, and I knew it was important to show filial piety in this way. After that, I took maternity leave and struggled to raise my son, and when I returned to work, I took the baby to daycare and picked him up, and did my best at housework as well. It is hard to balance work, child-rearing, and housework, but I am still happy just to see my son's cute smile. My husband helps me with the housework when he can, and he also takes care of our son. That is how we had a happy home. Watching my son grow up was my daily pleasure. Even so, as the months passed, many things changed. First of all, my husband's company reduced his salary due to the recession. This was a bit of a blow to us because we had a child. So I threw myself into my work and tried my best to make up for the decrease in my husband's salary. I worked a little more overtime every day so as not to neglect my housework and child rearing. I also did my best to save money and cut back on fixed costs. Thanks to these efforts, we have managed to lead our lives as before. My son is now 6 years old and will start elementary school next year. I want him to be able to do whatever he wants to do without restrictions, so I always save money. When I think about our old age, our children's school fees, and other future matters, no matter how much money we have, it is never enough. I always had a sense of crisis when I was managing my money. But then my mother became ill and had to be hospitalized. It was a pretty serious illness, and she had to have an operation. I went to visit her every day after work and spent time with her. Now that she is getting older, she must be very anxious about getting an illness that requires surgery. My mother smiles and acts happy when she is with me, but I could sense that she is worried about her future. So I made it a point to go with my son when I visited her after work. My mother seemed happy to be able to see her grandchildren. A month later, my mother underwent surgery. We were worried until we got the results, but it seemed to be a success. My mother and I were both relieved. Your mother, I'm glad the surgery was a success. Yeah, but I realize my parent is getting older too. They were fine just a few days ago, and then all of a sudden they get sick. Yeah, that's true. My parents are fine now, but you never know what's going to happen. I guess this is how things change little by little, even when you think they'll never change. My father died when I was very young, and my mother raised me by herself. So I cannot express my gratitude to my mother in a single word. I am so glad that I was able to show my mother my bridal dress and the faces of my grandchildren while she was still alive. After that, I went back to my parents' house regularly to check on my mother. I really wanted to move in with her, but that was practically difficult. If we moved to my parents' house, my husband and I would be quite far from work. It was also difficult for my mother to come and live here. We were living in a rented house, and it would be very small if my mother came to live with us. And my husband would have to take care of her. And there was something else to worry about. It was about my mother's life. She didn't say much about it, but the cost of the surgery was quite a lot. It was quite a blow for my mother, who lives on a pension, and she is now cutting back on her food expenses. I was extremely concerned when I heard this story. It may be fine when she is young, but it is not good to be too frugal with food in her old age. If she is not well nourished, she might get sick again. So I decided to send money to my mother. But this was not a decision I could make on my own, so I asked my husband for advice. I'm thinking of sending money to my mother. Of course I'm thinking of coming out of my income. Well, I know she had a tough time with the surgery. That's totally fine. You've always been a big help to me. Thank you so much. I'm going to work hard to make up for it. Well, take it easy. Okay, thanks. Then I started working harder and putting in more overtime. I try to keep my hours short by preparing food early in the morning or making a lot of leftovers on my days off. And I made sure to transfer $500 to my mother every month. Yolanda, thank you. It really helps. And I don't have to cut back on my meals. That's good. If you ever have any problems, you can ask me for help. Yes, thank you. For the time being, I was glad that my mother seemed to be leading a decent life. I had worked hard and increased my work, which had increased my salary. But because of that, I had more responsibilities and became busier than ever. This made it difficult for me to make time to send money home. Since my income increased all at once, I decided to increase my remittances. However, I was too busy to transfer the money, so I asked my husband to transfer the money. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you through the hassle. It's totally fine. I'm home earlier than you are, and you're doing the housework, so you can leave this much to me. And I would give my husband $1,000 a month to transfer to me. now I'm in charge of a big project and I have to focus on work. So I was grateful that my husband could help me out like that. But then, about 4 months later, I got a phone call from my mother. Hello? What's up? Oh, I was just wondering. Maybe she missed me because I hadn't been home at all. Sorry, I was kind of busy at work, so I didn't get home very often. Oh, no, that's no problem. You're a hard worker. That's fine, but... What's wrong? Yeah, I was just wondering about the money you sent home. My mother seems somewhat brusque. Then I heard a surprising story from my mother. Well, I appreciate the money you send me, but $50 a month is just enough to feed the cat. I was wondering if you could increase the amount you are sending me. I know you guys must be going through a hard time, so it pains me to ask you this, but... What do you mean? I didn't send $50, that's not a lot of money. What? I couldn't believe my ears. I send you $1,000 a month. What? Wait a minute, $1,000? My mother was also surprised at my statement. Yes, that's right. I've been thinking about sending more money to you since my salary went up. So I thought I'd give Caleb, That's when I had an epiphany. It was my husband who was sending me the money. That meant that my husband was intentionally changing the amount of money he was sending me. I'm sorry, Mom, but from now on, I'm going to hand-deliver the money to you. I hung up the phone and immediately decided to look into things. I didn't want to think that my sweet husband was stealing money, but I couldn't detect any lie in my mother's voice. I was sure that even if I questioned my husband, I would not get a satisfactory answer. So I decided to have the private agency look into it. And then I found out an unbelievable fact. About 2 weeks after I requested the investigation, I received a call from the agency that the results of the investigation had come in, so I went to the office. When I saw the documents they gave me there, I was absolutely astonished. It seems that my husband has been going to girls' bars and having physical relations with the women there. In other words, he was having an affair. I was shocked and depressed. I couldn't think about anything for a while. But that soon turned to anger. My husband was having an affair using my mother's remittances. I could never forgive him. I immediately started preparing for divorce. Since I was busy with work and housework, I had to proceed little by little, but I had no choice. By the way, my husband was fidgeting because I didn't give him the money for the transfer easily. Isn't it about time I transfer the money to your mother to send home? It's already been a week this month. Oh, no problem. I gave it to her directly at the beginning of the month. What? Oh, yeah? Yeah. Oh, no. If you'd have told me, I would have paid it in. No, it's okay. I wanted to go see Mom in person, so I thought I'd give it to her on the way. I see. But I'll transfer the money next month. I know you're busy, so I thought I'd take some of the burden off your shoulders. Okay, thanks. What kind of a nice guy are you, when all you really want is money to pay off your lover? I dared to continue to send money directly to my mother myself for a few months and see how my husband would react. If my money can no longer be stolen, my husband will have to contribute to the affair out of his own earnings. That would be quite a blow to my husband, whose salary has been declining. When I mentioned that I had already given him my money the following month, my husband's face turned blue. So, I know it's hard. I'll wire her the money next month for the next 2 months, so just give me the $3,000. I struggled to stifle a laugh. I wondered if he didn't realize how funny he was sounding. Furthermore, the next month I gave my own money to my mother to send home. My husband immediately said that he would transfer the money to her at the beginning of the month, but I had already given it to her at the end of the previous month, thinking that he would say so by now. What? Why? It was already the 30th, and I was just stopping by my parents' house, so I figured I'd give it to her. My husband turned blue. Then I decided to annoy my husband a little. Why do you always want to do the transfer yourself? Why do you always want to do it yourself? Well, that's true, but it's a lot of work to go to your parents' house every time you want to make a payment. No, it's not that hard. I'm just doing my errands all at once. When I argued with him and twisted his argument, he became silent. The next month, he said something like this. You know, I'd like to have a little more money to spend. What? Why? Well, you know, I have a lot of money to spend on company and stuff, and I'm always on a tight budget. Oh, really? How much more do you want? When I asked him that, my husband's face lit up. 500. 500 more, please. I almost shook my head. How much more is he going to give me? What? There is no way I can give you that much. Well, 300 is fine then. We've been drinking a lot and it's getting hard. I can't afford a $300 increase. You don't have to attend a drinking party because it doesn't help your career, so you don't have to. No, that's not how it works. The generation a little older than ours still tends to get promoted based on that kind of socializing. If that's the case, why hasn't my husband been promoted? I hear that the employees who have recently been promoted are more than 5 years younger than my husband. My husband is not smart enough to realize that he is repeating statements that don't match his. It's impossible. Well, then, just give me $100. What would you spend an extra $100 on? It's so to fund a company event. So, you're going out for drinks with your partner, right? Well, I don't know, maybe to go to the bar where she works. What? I know everything. Here I finally decided to carry out my plan to divorce my husband. What? What are you talking about? My husband was upset, breaking out in a cold sweat. I showed him the photographic evidence I had gotten from the agency. They know everything. They know you've been stealing money from my allowance and using it for your affair. What? I can't believe it. I had money set aside for my mother. How were you going to take responsibility if my mother fell ill because she didn't have enough money, didn't get enough food, or couldn't go to the hospital? I mean, how could you have an affair when you have kids and all? Oh, well, that's, I'm sorry. It was just a temporary blip. I'm not going to go to the store anymore, and I'm not going to get physical with her, so I don't want a divorce. Please forgive me. My husband got down on his knees and said, "Please forgive me." But there was no way I would forgive him. Of course it's impossible. I will, of course, charge you alimony, and I will ask you to return the money you spent without my permission. Well, wait a minute. I don't have that kind of money anymore. Well, of course you don't. You've been paying for the affair out of your own salary for the past few months. That doesn't mean I can forgive you. I'm done with you. We'll deal with you through your lawyer. Oh, no. I packed my bags and left the house with my son. Once there, I went to my mother's place and then decided to rent a new room and move in. I filed a claim for alimony against my husband and the adulterer through my lawyer. Of course, I also demanded child support from my husband. After I left him, he could not pay the alimony and child support because his monthly salary was almost gone, so he could not contribute to the affair and she dumped him. And his in-laws were also dismayed and disowned him. Meanwhile, I was about to move out with my son, and my mother asked to live with us. My mother gave up her parents' house, which was a house with fond memories, and I bought a new barrier-free house and we all moved in together. From now on, my mother, my son, and I will spend happy days together as a family, supporting each other. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next video.